Here we have a tweet from David Holtz, I guess how you say his name, Holtz, where I kind of got this from like one of the Twitter like stories where it was kind of like a grok summarization because this tweet is hard to read, but he says the purely linear, non-differential, non-branching, non-layered UI paradigms around LLMs is such a curse, saying that we've lost quote unquote cognitive infrastructure beyond oral communication. So essentially what that's been taken to mean is that he doesn't like the chat interfaces with LLMs. And it's very interesting because I would say about like 6 months ago, I was very much on the wave of like every app just kind of becomes a chat, you know? You tell it what to do. It's like Jarvis, you know? Everyone's trying to get to Jarvis as soon as possible, which is essentially AGI via assistant chat. But it's very interesting what David is saying is that actually the abstractions that we've created with UI, with buttons, with mouse clicks, etc., adds layers to the oral communication, and we've solved for a lot of these quote unquote infrastructure problems. And that's very interesting and kind of speaks to like, you know, the Kanbans are coming back and like you need visualization, of course, of UI. And that's where it's like you have the embeds directly in the chat to show you information, like those old demos of like stock chart prices that you could ask for in a chat. So I'm not sure what he thinks about that, but it is very interesting to think that like chat is probably not the future. I remember I was talking to someone, I just met them randomly, but they, I guess, were interested in AI as well at the time, and they definitely disagreed with they definitely disagreed with my understanding that everything was going to become a chat. So they're kind of with David on this, but I'm like, action happens through communication, you know? So if you're communicating with a mouse click to click this button, it's just so fixed and static compared to language, which is so like dynamic, and what LLMs excel at like grabbing the context from what you're saying, which speaks to like the cursor story that we covered earlier, which was saying that like you give it less context and let it do the search itself, then it can solve a lot of the problems on its own.